Before we get started, I'm sure His Govinda Charan Prabhu needs no introduction to anyone, but I'd still like to mention a few words. He's a senior disciple of His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj and has been serving the ISKCON movements for decades now. Personally, what I feel, Prabhu is a perfect personification of Yukta Vairagya, like how one can utilize one's life completely in devotional service while I'm taking responsibility in this material world. And also Govind Charan Prabhu, just to let you know, who first half of the year, Govind Charan Prabhu and his good wife, Rasika Shrimani Mataji, organizes ISKCON's biggest Kirtan retreat in North America, Sadhu Sanga, during Memorial Weekend. And then second half of the year, they are just sincerely, meticulously planning and organizing His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj Vrindavan Parikrama in actual Vrindavan for the entire Kartik month. So we are very excited to hear from him all the glories of Raj Dham. And personally, I like Prabhu's sense of humor and making everything so easy and fun. So let's get started. And just a small announcement, this lecture will be from 6:30 to 7:30. And from 7:30 onwards, we have Kirtan by His Grace Govind Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you for the kind words, Mataji. That reminds me of the goal I need to keep always in mind. Thank you. So, do you see this beautiful picture of Jagannath behind me? Ananga Gopika kindly gifted us this beautiful picture. So, let's see who is here. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srivas Pandit Prabhu here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Dandavas Prabhu. Krishna Prabhupada.
Krishna Prabhupada.
Jai. So, I know Srivas Pandit Prabhu, Mayapur, Bihari Prabhu, and Govind Prabhu, and few others have gone to Vrindavan. I want to get an idea how many of the devotees have gone to the 7 main temples of Vrindavan. So I think there is a raise hand feature in the chat. If that may be easier to just get a quick thing. Ananga Kopika Mataji, do you know where the raise hand feature is?
If you go to participants, and over there in the bottom right, the 3 dots.
Yes.
Click on that, and then there's a drop down. Click on raise hand, or you can go to your name, and then click more, and then click raise hand.
Okay, good point. So let's before you raise hand, let me frame the question correctly. So I actually was in a lot of anxiety because I've only attended the Parikrama, not talked about the Vrindavan Parikrama in the past. So people say with Krishna consciousness you get peace, but actually in reality you get only anxiety, because always when there is a service that comes, you don't know how to perform, and then you become more anxious than you were before getting the service. So that's you can say the insider trick. They don't tell you when you join the movement, but it gets revealed later on. So I was in that anxiety, and then just this morning I was going through a few ways of structuring the presentation. So it's just Krishna's mercy. Of course, that's part of how Krishna brings us closer to him. He first puts us in anxiety and then reveals that he is the maintainer and caretaker of us. So I came across this beautiful book. It's called Vrindavan, the Playground of God, by Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. So this is a very, very beautiful book. It's pretty recent, probably a few years back. Earlier, we used to have a Vrindavan Parikrama book by Rajashekar Prabhu. I was searching for the book and I couldn't find it, and then I found this book, and it's exactly what I was looking for. And then next to the book, I also found this beautiful DVD. It's a 2-part DVD that also talks about this whole of Vrindavan Parikrama. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami is based in South Africa, and he has excellently narrated this whole Vrindavan Parikrama. And but I still didn't have a computer with a drive to put this DVDs on, and then was just Googling for a possible video of this. And Krishna is extremely merciful, so I found the full 2-hour video of this entire narration that Bhakti Chaitanya Swami's made here. So that's what I thought we'll base the presentation on. And so there's 2 options. So essentially it's like almost like a 2.5-hour video. But for the first, the major 7 major temples, it takes about an hour. And then in the remaining hour, it covers about remaining 70 temples. So, so what I wanted to find out is, do you want to hear the first 7 temples at length, or you want to hear the remaining 70 temples, because we have only 1 hour and probably 50 minutes. Of course, whatever you are missing, you can hear later on. I'll share the YouTube link, so there's no loss ultimately. So now we'll raise the hand if you want to hear the 7 main temples for the next hour. You can raise your hand now. Okay, so if you want to hear, okay, so I'll wait. Okay, so 7 main temples. Okay, almost five people have found. Okay, if you want to hear of course, because the reason I'm asking is because many of us are familiar with the 7 main temples, and the remaining narration here about the remaining 70 or so temples is so beautiful. I was actually hearing many of the details for the first time. So now you can undo your hands, and now those who want to hear the remaining 60 or 70 places, you can raise your hand. Whichever group has most, we'll go with that. Mayapur Bihari Babu, you are alone. And of course, the remaining people haven't raised hands for both, so maybe they didn't find it. Find how to do the raise hand option. Okay, so we'll go with the 7 main temples. So the good thing is, yes, yeah, so okay, so 7 main temples will do. And so I was thinking it's also the third option, which I wanted to wait to propose, is if you do the 7 temples now, we can probably do the remaining as part of Radhashtam celebrations. So we are not bereft of the remaining nectar. So with that, we'll like start the parikrama. And before we start, as Vaisheshika Prabhu told in the first day, because the spiritual master is the revealer of the Dham, let us pray to our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada before we start on this exciting journey. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Indradumna Swaminatha Ramane Namo Prabhupada Priyadasaya Jagannathe Atrananda Murte Bhakta Sukaya Krishna Utkirtanena Narshingena Rakshitaya Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminatha Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane Vansha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prajabhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So let me share my screen. Ananga Gopika, can you enable screen sharing for me?
After my, can you?
Prabhuji, you can screen share.
Okay. And also, yes, we have Srivas Pandit Prabhu here. So I'm so happy and blessed. So if there are any questions, Prabhu will also help answer. So please ask since the video is kind of will be running, we don't want to pause the video. So you can ask your questions in chat, and Srivas Prabhu and I will try to answer as much as I can. And others, if you know the answers, please also feel free to pitch in. It's not that only the host has to answer. Please, it's a way of sharing all the nectar we have received from our spiritual masters over the years. So keep your popcorns ready. Okay, so this is called Vrindavan, the playground of Krishna.
Welcome to Vrindavan, the playground of God. Vrindavan town is the central part of Radha Mandala, the greater area in which Lord Krishna
The volume is very low.
pastime.
Are you able to hear the volume?
It's very low, Prabhu.
Is it? Oh, okay. Let's see.
When he was present on this planet 5,000 years ago, some of his earlier childhood leela.
Okay, let me do this. Let me just send a link to the video just in case. I'll put it on the chat. Oops. Yeah, normally I share the desktop audio and it's possible. Somebody was saying when you share, bottom left of the menu. Are others able to hear or it's very low?
It's still a little bit low, Prabhu.
Okay, I think it'll get, it's actually, it is actually really loud. Maybe it's, let's see it after a couple of minutes. Maybe it's in the beginning, it's low.
Took place here, and as a result, over the years, devotees have established many temples and shrines to commemorate those activities and to glorify him as the supreme personality of Godhead. After the Lord performed his pastimes here, many of the temples and deities were lost. But about 500 years ago, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all disciples and followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most recent incarnation of Lord Krishna, was sent here by him to re-establish the lost holy places and find the deities which had been hidden or lost due to the influence of time. The 6 Goswamis and their followers established the 7 main temples of Vrindavan, Radha Madan Mohan, in which the deity was one of the original 5,000-year-old forms of the Lord. Radha Govinda, also one of the original deities. Radha Gopinath, another original deity. Radha Damodar, a more recent deity, carved by one of the 6 Goswamis, Srila Rupa Goswami. Radharaman, worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Radha Gokulananda, worshipped by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Radhasham Sunda, worshipped by Baladev Vijayabhushan. Initially, we will visit these temples. Then we'll visit the Krishna Balaram temple, established by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, who took Krishna out of Vrindavan and around the world. After that, we'll visit so many of the main sacred places in Vrindavan town. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada says, so to kill the demons, Krishna does not need to come. When he comes, he does so because he's requested by his devotees like Vasudeva and Devaki. Therefore, the real cause of his coming is at the request of his devotees. But when he comes, he simultaneously shows that he's prepared to kill anyone who is envious of his devotees. Of course, his killing and maintaining are the same because he's absolute. Those who are killed by Krishna immediately attain salvation, which generally takes millions of years to get. So people may say that Krishna has come for this purpose or that purpose, but actually Krishna comes for the benefit of his devotees. He always looks after the welfare of the devotees. And so we should understand that we should always be concerned with how to become devotees. Srila Prabhupada has told us that the Lord has performed so many pastimes to attract our minds from this material world to him, so we become inspired to become his devotees. He is very merciful to those who serve him and is waiting for us to turn to him and take shelter of him through bhakti or devotional service. Visiting these holy places is a very important part of the process. There are histories behind many of them, and in this DVD we have presented many of these. Please walk with us through the streets of the sacred town and take in the wonderful spiritual atmosphere that is pervading everything deep. The Madan Mohan temple is by the Parikrama path on the northern side of Vrindavan town. It was established in 1581 by Srila Sanatana Goswami. It is number 1 in the center of our land. After Lord Krishna's departure from this world, his great-grandson Vajranath wanted to install deities in the main pastime places. The only person still living who had seen the Lord was Uttara. And when Madan Mohan, the first deity, was carved, she was called to confirm if it looked like him. She said, yes, it looks just like Krishna, up to the waist. This is that original 5,000-year-old deity of Madan Mohan. Along with Govinda and Gopinath, he was moved to Jaipur in 1670 by Maharaj Jai Singh, who was ruling there. A little later, though, at the request of Jai Singh's sister, who had married the king of the Karoli area, Madan Mohan was moved there, and since then he has been in Karoli town. This is the old Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan town. One time Sanatana Goswami was doing Vrajmandal Parikrama in the Gokul Mahavan area when he saw a group of boys playing a ball game. The boys was particularly dark-skinned and beautiful, and Sanatana understood, this is Krishna. He followed the boy home to Mathura and saw that he was living as a member of a Brahmin family named Chobe. Srila Sanatana Goswami told the father, this is Krishna. You cannot have him run around outside getting dirty. You must put him on the altar and worship him. So Chobe had Madan Mohan stand on the altar and accept worship. However, that evening, Madan Mohan appeared in Sanatana Goswami's dream and told him, it's so boring standing here on the altar. I want to come on Parikrama with you. So the next morning, Sanatana went back there and took Madan Mohan with him. Sanatana Goswami was an extreme renunciant and would hardly eat anything. He would beg for a short time every day. Often he would just get some wheat flour and he would mix it with Yamuna water, roll the dough into small balls and throw them directly into a fire. After a little while, he would take out the blackened balls, break the crust off them, and offer them to Madan Mohan. This very simple form of bread is known as bhati. One day at this place, Sanatana offered Madan Mohan bhati on its own, with no vegetables or rice or dal, and even no salt. Madan Mohan looked at the bhati and asked, can't I at least have some salt with the bhati? Sanatana told him, I knew you'd complain. I told you I'm a poor man, and you agreed to accept whatever I could offer. So if this isn't good enough for you, I'll take you back to the Chobes. But Madan Mohan exclaimed, no, I'll take my bhati without salt, but I just want to come with you. These to the deities that are currently on the altar in the old temple. The Madan Mohan temple is situated on top of Dwadasha Hill, or the hill of the 12 suns. It is said that after Lord Krishna subdued the Kaliya serpent and exiled him from Vrindavan, the Lord came on top of this hill to dry off and warm himself after his lengthy battle with the serpent. Surya, the sun god, wanted to serve Krishna very nicely, and understanding how cold and wet he was, Surya expanded himself into 12 suns and assisted the Lord to dry off and make himself comfortable. When the Muslims attacked Vraja, the old Madan Mohan temple was damaged. So the devotees in the line from Srila Sanatana Goswami's disciples then built a new temple, which is immediately next door to the old one. There are Pratibhu forms of Madan Mohan there. There's also a small Govardhan Shila, which was worshipped by Sanatan. Srila Sanatana Goswami left this world at Manasi Ganga at Govardhan Hill in 1558 on the Guru Purnima Day, which normally falls around July. However, his transcendental body is buried here, behind the Madan Mohan temple. In the far left corner of the Samadhi grounds is the Granth Samadhi, or the Samadhi of the Scriptures, where Srila Jiva Goswami is said to have buried some of the works of the 6 Goswamis. Also in the grounds of his Samadhi are the Pushpa Samadhis of Lord Chaitanya's great associates, Tapan Mishra, the father of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Chandrasekhar Acharya. The Radha Govinda temple is in the center of current-day Vrindavan town. It was established under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami in 1590. It is number 2 on our map. After Uttara had seen Madan Mohan, Vajranabh had Govinda Dev come. Uttara was again called and studied him very carefully. Yes, she said, his face is just like that of Sri Krishna. As with so many deities, over the years Govinda was lost. Bhakti Ratnakara describes that Srila Rupa Goswami, after re-establishing many sacred places, still felt dissatisfied, as he knew that Govindaji was somewhere in Vrindavan, although he had been unable to find him. Rupa had scoured Braj Mandala so extensively that he had even searched many of the Brijbasis' houses, but still Govinda Dev was not to be found. One day, an extraordinarily attractive Brijbasi approached him and asked him why he looked so sad. Rupa told him his story, and the Brijbasi comforted him and told him of a hill in Vrindavan named Gokulananda, on top of which a particular cow came every day and spontaneously released her milk. The Brijbasi took Rupa to Gokulananda and then suddenly vanished from sight. Rupa collapsed on the ground with tears pouring from his eyes and then fell unconscious. He later gathered some of the local people together and they all dug on the top of the hill, finally uncovering Govinda. Along with him, they found a small deity of Yogamaya, the child of Mother Yashoda, who Kamsa tried to kill. Srila Rupa Goswami worshipped Govinda Dev personally for many years, but it was Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami who finally had a beautiful red sandstone temple built on Gomat Hill by his disciple Maharaj Man Singh of Jaipur. And after 14 years of construction, he installed the Lord there. At the time, this was the biggest temple in northern India. Aurangzeb, the notorious Muslim despot, saw the light on top of the Govindaji temple when he was traveling to Agra one night and became angry that this was apparently taller than any Muslim building at the time. He sent soldiers to tear it down, and they destroyed the domes comprising the top 4 levels of the building. Just before this, Govinda was moved to Jaipur. On the altar in the old temple today are a deity of Govinda in the center, born a tie on his sides, Jagannath immediately in front of him, and a special Govardhan Shila next to Jagannath on our right. On top of the Shila is said to be the footprint of Lord Krishna from when he stepped on the rock while herding cows. Under the left wing of the old temple is the deity of Yoga Maya, found by Srila Rupa Goswami. She is one of the original 5,000-year-old deities of Vrindavan. We now go to Jaipur to have darshan of the original 5,000-year-old Govindaji. He is situated in the grounds of the city palace of the traditional Maharaj of Jaipur. He has a wonderful temple there and is visited every day by thousands of devotees. Practically the whole city of Jaipur is dedicated to Govindaji. Let us have darshan of him in different of his daily clothes. Here he is at Mangal Arati. The local devotees regularly sing devotional songs for Govindaji's pleasure. After Uttara had darshan of Govinda Dev, Vajranath had the third deity of Krishna carved, Sri Gopinath. The Gopinath temple is number 3 on our map. When Uttara came and beheld his extraordinary form, she said, "Yes, His chest is just like Krishna's. He is Krishna as the master of the gopis, and therefore is considered the topmost form of the Lord. First, let us visit the original Gopinath in Jaipur. As with the other main deities, before the time of Lord Chaitanya, Gopinath was hidden to save him from the ravages of the Muslims. Madhu Pandit and his close friend, Paramananda Bhattacharya, both disciples of Sri Gadadhar Pandit of the Panchatattva, were wandering by the Yamuna in the Vansivat area of Vrindavan and found him in the sand there on the riverbank. The description is given. Thus, Sri Madhu Pandit became the servant of Sri Gopinath, whose bodily luster steals away the minds of everyone. Hundreds and thousands of people came running to see him, famed as he is as sweetness personified. When the soothing sweetness and coolness of his charming form entered their hearts through their eyes, they found that the burning fire of material existence, which had previously been burning there, was now extinguished. He is a most charming deity, and on either side of him are deities of Srimati Radharani, the one on our right bigger, and the one on our left smaller. Bhakti Ratnakara describes that when Mother Janava was in Vrindavan, Gopinath appeared to her in a dream and said he felt it was strange that Srimati Radharani should be so much smaller than him, and requested her to provide a larger deity of Radha. Srimati Radharani also appeared in Janava's dream and told her that she agreed with this and that Janava should not hesitate but arrange a new deity immediately. She did this, but when the new deity arrived, the devotees became perplexed. The deity of Srimati Radharani was very beautiful, so what should be done with her? In this way it was decided that both would stay on Gopinath's altar, and this is how we see things arranged today. On his left and right are deities of Srimati Radharani. In the courtyard of the Gopinath temple in Jaipur, on your right as you enter the main darshan area, is a glass case with the kurta hat and some counting beads of Madhu Pandit. Even though hundreds of years have passed since he was present, they're still existing, and one can have a very nice darshan of them. Now we're in the new Gopinath temple in Vrindavan town. The arrangement of deities there is a little unusual. Normally, Srimati Radharani is on our right as we look at the altar. But in the Gopinath temple in Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani is on our left, while her younger sister, Ananga Manjari, is on our right. Out of affection for her little sister, Srimati Radharani allows her to take this most privileged position so she can render service in the most intimate ways. When the original Gopinath deity was still present in Vrindavan, Mother Janava, the main wife of Lord Nityananda, visited. In Krishna Lila, Janava is a Nanga Manjari, and therefore Janava had a very strong attraction to Gopinath and would visit the temple regularly. It is said that one day, while she was having darshan of Gopinath, when the curtains were closed, she went in behind them. When the curtains were opened again, she was nowhere to be seen. In this way, Mother Janava concluded her pastimes in this world. Behind the Gopinath temple in Vrindavan town is the Samadhi of Madhu Pandit. Both Madan Mohan, Govinda and Gopinath are 5,000-year-old deities. Damodar is of much more recent origin. The temple is number 4 on our map. Sadhana Dipika, an important Gaudiya Vaishnava literature, explains that Srila Rupa Goswami was expert in many ways. He was an artist, he was an expert astrologer, and was fluent in Sanskrit, Bengali, Persian, and other languages. He could also carve deities. Understanding the desire of his dear nephew Jiva, Rupa Goswami carved Damodar and gave the deity to him as a present. This happened in 1542, but then, as with the other major deities, Damodar was taken to Jaipur by Maharaj Jai Singh in 1670. Radha Damodar with Lalita are on the center of the altar in Vrindavan. Pratibhu forms of Radha Vrindavan Chandra of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami are on our far left. Pratibhu deities of Radha Madhava of Jayadev Goswami are on our right of Radha Damodar. And on our far right are Radha Chalchikan of Bhugaba Goswami. There's also a large Govardhan Shila, said to have been given to Srila Sanatana Goswami by Lord Krishna when he became too old to do Govardhan Parikrama every day. This is the footprint of Lord Krishna. Then, behind it is the footprint of one of Krishna's calves. Then above it is the mark of Krishna's lati, Krishna's stick for controlling the cows. Then above that is the mark, the impression of Lord Krishna's flute. We walk to the left of the altar and enter the Samadhi garden. There on our right is the Samadhi of Srila Jiva Goswami. As a great Acharya in our line, he wrote 400,000 verses.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, your volume, it's coming from your mic instead of your computer. So can you go on your settings and say share computer sound? Because it's getting a little bit shaky in the live broadcast on YouTube and Facebook.
Where should I go?
In the menu bar, there should be a button on the corners that says share computer sound. And so if you share that, you can keep yourself on mute and it'll share only the computer sound and it'll be a little bit more smoother in the live broadcast. On Facebook and YouTube, it's a bit shaky right now.
Okay, you mean in the Zoom's option?
Yeah, so one of the options you should have a place where it says it turns on the computer sound only. So when you share, there should be a checkbox which says
So let me stop and reshare.
okay, bro.
On sharing options. Share screen. Oh, share computer sound.
Yeah, bro, if you do that, and then you can keep yourself on mute, and then it'll share the computer sound only, and then that'll be smooth.
Okay. Oh, it says please restart your audio sharing applications such as media player after. Okay, let me see. Are you still seeing my screen?
We can see your screen, Prabhu, but we can see your Finder and then your home screen.
Yeah, that one I have to now go back to my. Went to a different place here. We are at Jiva Goswami's.
Minute detail. Coming around further, we find the Samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. He is the Abhideya Acharya in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, describing elaborately the practice and cultivation of Krishna consciousness in many books, particularly Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada translated as Nectar of Devotion. Next to his Samadhi is the Samadhi of Bhugabha Goswami. He and Lokanath Goswami were the first devotees sent by Lord Chaitanya to start the work of uncovering the Vrindavan area, even before the 6 Goswamis came. Looking out into the courtyard of the Radha Damodar temple are the rooms of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He lived here from 1959 till he went to the Western world in 1965. In the room on the right he lived and wrote his Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam commentaries. In the beam was his Brijbasi safe, in which he would keep valuables. He would remove the stone and put things inside, and then close the beam again. In the room on the left, Srila Prabhupada would cook and take prasadam. In this famous photo, he's looking out the window to the Samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami, praying for empowerment to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Now we go to the Radha Damodar temple in Jaipur. It is not clear whether Radha Damodar in Vrindavan or in Jaipur is the actual original deity, but certainly they're both very beautiful. Radha Damodar here are the small deities on the lower step of the altar, while on the upper step are the larger Radha Vrindavan Chandra of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Damodar is very striking and exudes transcendental character.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Radharaman is a very captivating deity. He was originally worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. His temple is number 5 on our map. Gopal Bhatta was worshipping Shalagram Shilas, but he maintained a desire to worship a traditional deity form of Lord Krishna, like his fellow Goswamis Rupa and Sanatan, who were worshipping Govinda and Madan Mohan, respectively. One day an affluent devotee visited Vrindavan and met Gopal. He offered that he would provide all types of clothing and ornaments for Gopal's personal deity, not knowing that he was worshipping Shilas. Gopal politely refused the man. It was the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev, and that night Gopal Bhatta was strongly desiring to have a regular deity to worship with beautiful paraphernalia as the devotee had been offering. The idea came to him, "My Lord, when you appeared as Lord Nrsingadev, You came out of a stone pillar, so why can't you manifest yourself from one of these sacred stones? Please be kind and do so." When he woke the next morning, his Damodar Shalagram Shila had transformed into the deity Radharaman. Gopal Bhatta had been desiring to worship a deity who was something like a combined form of Madan Mohan, Gopinath and Govinda. And as he inspected the astonishingly attractive form of his new deity, he noticed he has the feet of Madan Mohan, the face of Govinda, and the chest of Gopinath. One notices that on the altar Srimati Radharani is missing, although her clothing and paraphernalia is present to our right of Krishna. Actually, she is there, although one needs transcendental eyes to see her. Radharaman has a very bold stance. His chest is thrust forward, transcendentally showing off his features, and his body does not show signs of having been carved. He even has very personal features, such as small teeth and fingernails. Next to the Radharaman temple is a shrine at the place where that Damodar Shila transformed into the deity. Just behind that shrine is the Samadhi of Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Ramo Ramo Hare Hare.
The elderly devotee in charge at the Samadhi, Ghanshyam Das, taps everyone on the head with the walking stick of Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We move about 150 meters down to the left from Radharaman and come to the Radha Gokulananda temple, which was established by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It is number 6 on our map. On the altar we find, on the top level on our left, a deity of Lord Chaitanya who was worshipped by Narottam Das Thakur. In the middle are Pratibhu, or replacement deities of Radha Vinod, worshipped by Lokanath Goswami. Then on the right are Radha Vijay Govinda, worshipped by Baladev Vijayabhushan. On the lower level is little Gokulananda and Lord Chaitanya's Govardhan Shila. The original Radha Vinod are now in Jaipur, and we'll go there and have darshan of them shortly. Gokulananda is a very small deity of Krishna on his own. Of course, wherever he is, undoubtedly, Srimati Radharani is there also, but for those who don't have transcendental vision, she is unmanifest. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur installed him personally and worshipped him for some time in the same place where he's being worshipped now in Vrindavan town. Lord Chaitanya's Govardhan Shila is very fascinating. The Lord would put the Shila to his heart, or sometimes to his eyes. Sometimes he would smell it with his nose, and sometimes place it on his head. It was always moist with tears from his eyes. To the left of the main temple is the Samadhi garden, where a number of very prominent Vaishnavas have been buried. The main Samadhi is that of Lokanath Goswami, who, along with Bhugabha Goswami, was the first devotee to be sent to Vrindavan by Lord Chaitanya to start the work of uncovering all the lost holy places. Here we see the Samadhi of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, the great Gaudiya Vaishnava poet and only disciple of Lokanath. He approached Lokanath for initiation, but was refused. So he then secretly served him for a year, cleaning up for him and even removing his stool every morning. Finally, Lokanath agreed to accept him. Next to Narottam's samadhi is that of Ganganarayan Chakravarti, Narottam's foremost disciple. In the corner to the left of Srila Narottam Das Thakur's samadhi is the samadhi of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Now we go to Jaipur to have darshan of the original Radha Vinod, personally worshipped by Lokanath Goswami. Bhakti Ratnakara describes that when Lokanath was in Umarao, Lord Chaitanya appeared before him disguised as a village boy, carrying a deity of Krishna. He put the deity in Lokanath's hands and immediately vanished. The deity said to Lokanath, "I've been staying in a forest in this village, Umarao. I could understand that you are not satisfied, so I have come to you. Now, please feed me." Lokanath was overwhelmed and simply stood there with tears flowing from his eyes. He prepared some food for Krishna and offered it to him. He named the deity Radha Vinod. Lokanath Goswami made a small bag for a temple for Radha Vinod and would carry him wherever he went. The bag would always emanate a transcendental light, and when Lokanath would move around, he would keep his hand in the bag and massage the body of the Lord while chanting japa. The last of the 7 main temples that we'll visit is Radhasham Sunda, established by Shyamananda Pandit. It is number 7 on our map and is less than 50 meters from Loi Bazaar, on the left, on the way to the Radha Damodar temple. The main deities in one sense are the small deities known as Lala Lali, or little boy and little girl, to our right of the main deities. The deity of Krishna was given to Shyamananda Pandit by Srimati Radharani herself. The larger deities were installed by Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan later on. On the walls is a series of paintings depicting scenes from the life and activities of Shyamananda. He was an initiated disciple of Hriday Chaitanya, a close associate of Lord Chaitanya. Hriday Chaitanya sent Shyamananda to Vrindavan to learn the intricacies of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. First he went to Radhakund, where he offered obeisances to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He then went to Vrindavan town and met Srila Jiva Goswami and entered his school. Already Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur were studying there, and the 3 of them became very close friends. Once, while cleaning in the groves around Sevakunj, Shyamananda came across an extremely opulent-looking anklet, and he wondered who could have left such a valuable piece of jewelry here. A woman who was actually Lalita, Srimati Radharani's closest girlfriend, then approached Shyamananda and told him that her daughter-in-law had lost an anklet and asked for it. However, Shyamananda told her, "I'll certainly see that your daughter-in-law gets her anklet back, but I will give it to her myself." Lalita then revealed herself and dipped Shyamananda in Lalita Kund in Seva Kunj, and he came out in a gopi form as Kanaka Manjari. Lalita took Kanaka to Srimati Radharani, and there she placed the anklet on Radharani's leg. However, as Kanaka Manjari was doing this, Srimati Radharani took the anklet and pressed it firmly against Kanaka's forehead, making quite a deep impression there. Then Radharani gave Kanaka the small Krishna deity.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol Prabhu.
Hare Bol. Am I audible now? Okay. So that's the first part. I hope you enjoyed the transcendental nectar. There's so many details. Probably we need to hear a few times to pick up all of the details, but you can see how much nectar is there in these recordings. So we have a few minutes until Govind Prabhu. You can let us know when your team is ready, Prabhu. Until then, maybe you can share some reflections. Maybe you can start with Shivas Pandit Prabhu, if you are there, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, we are able to hear. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Govind Charan Prabhu, for this wonderful nectar that you gave in the form of this Parikrama. And I'm just asking you to bless me so that I get a dust of that taste of attraction for Vrindavan. So that's all I have to say today.
Jai Prabhu, will definitely pray, and you are qualifying yourself every day to enter the Dham. So,
Govind Charan Prabhu, I want to also chime in the same sentiment as Srivas Pandit Prabhu. Hope I get also the mood as you have for Sri Dham Vrindavan, and also your attraction and attention, the priority that you keep Dham as your everything. You drop everything and you run there every year. So I hope we pray that tomorrow also we can pray in the Krishna in the same mood that the love and affection that you have for Sri Dham Vrindavan. And hopefully, I also wanted to, thanks our viewers that you got to hear from Govind Charan Prabhu. I think it's all of us a privilege that he is for great member of ISV, and also it's our good fortune that we have had him buy the house here, so we can't lose him.
thank you, Mataji. You make wherever you go, you make the place a Dham. So you are much more attachment than me in bringing the Dham to the Western world. So we are very inspired by you.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
And also I wanted to see that maybe you can request all the devotees to join the Mangala Aarti tomorrow morning on the Zoom.
Wow.
We'll have a good fortune to attend the Mangala Aarti through Zoom for everyone. And we will also get the darshan of the sadhu and Visheshika Prabhu and the deities both. So we can't wait to see you all in the same mood what Govind Charan Prabhu had shared today and tomorrow's Mangala Aarti.
Jai. That's wonderful, Mataji. Glad to hear that.
Thank you, Hans. So one question I had was, so the deities that moved to Karoli and Jaipur, so the remaining deities were the facsimiles of the original deities, or
right?
How? Okay.
They call them Pratibhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hans Priyamatji, for that announcement, and thank you, Govind.
Thank you for your darshan.
Hare Krishna, Govind Charan Prabhu. This is Dhira Prashant Das. I have a question, actually.
Yes, please go ahead.
So I just wanted to share like a serious conversation, that I had with my, friends and close relatives. who are like, quasi loyal, meaning they believe ISKCON, but they don't. And the conversation that I had was, they said, there is so much work that needs to be done in Vrindavan. There is so much work that needs to be done in, Mathura, right? If you're really like, a surrendered soul or dedicated soul, you need to go to India and serve there. So when they mentioned this to me, right, basically they said, no, you're faking it. You're faking it here. You want to live in ISKCON, Silicon Valley. You want to enjoy the dollars. You want to enjoy the Teslas and BMWs. Not that I have that, but they were trying to basically, make, fun. And I gave them like various, honest reasons, saying, I have a family, I have a job to take care. But basically they told me like at the end of that conversation that, no, you're faking it, right? And I didn't want to like get into that argument with them. And then one of the things that came to my mind was, the 10 offenses of holy name, where the 9th offense says, it's a sin to instruct, faithless person about, this Krishna consciousness and trying to justify, right? But then as I walked away, right, and I was much later when I was driving, deep down, it hit me actually. And I kind of, tend to move towards the fact that, yes, maybe they are right. But I just wanted to know, like, how do we go around, like, when somebody, like, brings these things out, and there is some iota of truth to that, right? But I just want to know your thought process, or, Shiva's thought process. How do we keep our confidence? Because basically that conversation kind of shook my confidence.
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah, you are so honest and humble. So that's why it's shaking you. Otherwise, you would have not been bothered by that. So that shows your advancement. One thing is, yes, they are right. We need to really have that attachment to the Dham and the hanker to be there while doing our services here, right? So that's a checkpoint we need to ask ourselves. Actually, as I'm getting older, that's a question I'm asking myself every day. Like, am I planning for my retirement to have a comfortable life in the West and social security and this and that, or would I? Is my aspiration to be like a follow in the footsteps of one of those sadhus who live with practically nothing in Vrindavan, but they are so contented and have attachment to the Dham and live there? So that's a question we can individually ask ourselves and see. Maybe we are not ready for it. That's okay. We can accept that. But then develop that attachment by going to the Dham every year. And then developing that. Actually, that's one of the real, instructions of our Guru Maharaj, that he always says, you do whatever you want 11 months of the year, but 1 month reserve it for the Dham. Because he says you need that energy. And this directly from Srila Prabhupada's instruction. Prabhupada said, everybody, all the devotees should come every year to the Mayapur for Gaura Purnima festival. At the time, ISKCON was mostly in temple-based congregation. So, and then the GBC and the devotees, the leaders, for that, Prabhupada, that would cost a lot of money. But Prabhupada said, no, that's important for their spiritual life. So that's how much Prabhupada placed emphasis on that aspect of everybody taking shelter of the Dham. And our Guru Maharaj tells very nicely. He said, actually, we should, especially when you go on Parikrama for a month and then stay there. He says, why are you all going? He says this on the last day. Why are you all going back? This is our home. You have come home. Just stay here, right? And then he says, the only reason we are going out of Vrindavan is to preach the glories of Vrindavan to others.
I see.
So that should be the mood. So he says we shouldn't think that this is my home and I'm going to Vrindavan. Rather, we should say that is my home, right? And I'm going out for, the preaching work. But that's the way we think of what is our home.
Okay. So it's not more about the physical presence, but mentally you should be there in Vrindavan.
Right. And develop that attachment. Like, say, if there is an opportunity, if there is a way to serve there, I am ready to go. Like, it's only because of like other services. So that has to be a honest statement from the heart. Like, so when you are able to feel that attachment, then we can really take shelter of the Dham in the old age. Otherwise, it's because sometimes it's not just a question of having apartment, having money, and having everything, security and all that's not a real qualification to actually be in Vrindavan, because sometimes you may have all that, but then you get so bored in the dham because there is no attachment we have cultivated while we are young and developing the hankering to be and serve in the dham. So that's what we need to simultaneously work on that while we do our services here.
Thank you so much.
And you can see, Vaisheshika Prabhu, he takes it a priority to go there, every Kartik, you know how busy he is, but this is the priority these devotees give, so that, they set the example of how we should think about that.
Thank you, Govind Prabhu. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I just wanted to thank you. When you did the games yesterday, when I was looking at the Vrindavan map today in the video, I felt like, I actually feel very comfortable with this map now. And that is a big achievement for people like us who don't get to go to the dham often, who don't really connect with the Parikrama marg and understand the flow. Once in a lifetime, I got a chance to go. I don't know if I'll get another one. For people like me, this was such a blessing, Prabhu. Your game became such a positive and, spiritually uplifting thing for me. I looked at the map, I said, whoa, I know Vrindavan a little bit better. And it's tough to say that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhu. Actually, I felt the same also when designing the game. I felt I understood the layout of Vrindavan much more than just going there physically. Thank you.
So when we hear the stories of the temples, it gets sweeter because we actually recognize the places. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. And Govind Prabhu, please feel free to stop us anytime. We're just waiting for your instructions.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think we are available now. The Kirtan team is ready.
Okay. So
thank you, Govind Prabhu, and thank you for sharing and being such an example for us. And we just wish to aspire to follow your footsteps. Thank you very much, Govind Prabhu, for your time.
Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to present this wonderful nectar. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anchakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhesha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Going to rock on.
Hare Krishna. Now we move to the next segment of our celebration. Sorry. I welcome Govind Prabhu, His Grace Govind Prabhu. Now we move to the next segment of. Am I okay now? Okay. So Govind Prabhu actually, he's a disciple of His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj, and as you all know, he's very, very fluent in reciting Sanskrit verses and reciting prayers. And who can deny he has so much interest and love for Kirtan. He has been doing amazing sharing of Krishna consciousness through Kirtan programs since last few years in Bay Area. And just to know, like, if anyone is interested in learning harmonium through Prabhu, he has a YouTube channel where there are lessons how to learn, how to recite and how to sing different Vaishnava bhajans, and it has almost like 10,000 subscribers. Also, Prabhu has online Kirtan learning courses on Udemy. So Prabhu is very, very humble, and personally I have learned a lot of tunes from Prabhu, and he's very patient. So let's hear from Govind Prabhu and the elite team who's supporting us through Jamulus. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you very much. But I think if you want to know the reality, you can ask my wife. So I don't want to fool myself. I don't want to deceive anyone. But yeah, I'm trying to be somewhat serious in the bhakti line. So today, actually, we are joined by a lot of talented youth from the ISV congregation, led by also we have Pri Kishori, and then Srivatsa and Vrinda. They'll be accompanying me in the Kirtan today, doing different roles. I think Pri Kishori is planning to play violin. Srivatsa would be singing and also playing mridanga later on. For the first half hour, Vrinda will be doing. I'll do the Mangala Charan quickly. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vajeshatanayah Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidubhasana Vrajavadhuvargenya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pamartho Maha प्रभो मदमिदं तत्रादरो न परः यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदकर्मोपनिषदैः गायन्त्यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुषुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति सपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणा साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सगुणान्विता श्रीविशाखावितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तदहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। So now I'd like to do a tune that was sung by Amal Kirtan Das and his good wife Damayanti Devi Dasi during the Festival of Holy Name on Facebook. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna very much. Now we'll switch the Mridanga to Srivatsa. And now we'll do another Mahamantra tune. If you have any feedback about the audio, please put it in the chat. So now this is Rag Shivaranjani. I heard it from Ananda Das. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please sing. Krishna So thank you for your blessings and hope we can do more service like this. Now we will do one more kirtan.
Yes, 15 minutes, yeah. Okay.
Yes, we have some more time. So now I would like to do Rag Yaman, although I don't know any classical music, but I'm just copying the sounds to whatever extent I can. So this is, I've heard this from Radha Damodar Prabhu on YouTube. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Jai.
So we thank you. We thank the ISU management, and we thank all the devotees. We thank the youth Kirtaniers for giving us this opportunity to chant the holy names and express our whatever is there in our heart. And we pray that we can prepare ourselves well for Janmāṣṭamī tomorrow and enter in surrender to the Lord.
Thank you, Govinda Prabhu, for such a beautiful kirtan.
No, it is actually
Haribol.
it's because of other stalwart Kirtaniers. We are only trying to copy them. So you can say I'm just a copycat. Yeah. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you, Govind Prabhu. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, is this the Kirtan which we sing at the night time to put the Lord to rest? Is that something special about that raga?
Yeah, Prabhuji, apparently it can be, the raga should be sung in the evening. So
Okay.
maybe when we are putting the Lord to sleep, we can sing that.
Yeah, it was such a soothing raga. It was like, okay, you can put Krishna to sleep and then you can go back to sleep and dream about Krishna. It was very sweet. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
So I would like to thank our hosts for the previous session also actually. It was Aprameya and Advaita who coordinated the session with Govind Charan Prabhu. And Shraddha Gharmalkar Mataji, she was at the Q&A lead. Thanks to her as well. For this session, the hosts are Aprameya and Giridhar. Thank you, Aprameya. Thank you, Giridhar. And tomorrow is the Janmāṣṭamī, the appearance day of Lord Shri Krishna. And we'll start tomorrow's session at 4:30 a.m. Hope to see you all tomorrow again. Hare Krishna. Now we'll end this session.
Ankur Prabhu. Also,
Yeah.
we should mention that tomorrow morning the Zoom broadcast would be happening from the and they will be able to see that Radha Madan Mohan ji, Shriman Mahaprabhu, Radharani, and the Lakshmana Shringadev, and we will have also darshan and we'll be blessed to have a program with Vaisheshika Prabhu in the morning.
Jai.
Jai.
Tomorrow we'll get live darshan of Shri Radha Madan Mohan. That's so auspicious and beautiful. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. I forgot about that.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Good night, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you everybody for joining. This Zoom broadcast will be ending. Hare Krishna.